Welcome back to ESO Daily. I'm your host, Mr. Craven. All right, guys, so another episode of Easy Tips. I'm going to try to hammer these out as quick as possible to try to get the list going on. Part of this one to teach you how to mass level your alchemy without actually having to waste resources. So you're done. You're level 50. Congratulations. Problem now is a lot of players struggle with trying to remember your recipe to craft your potions or poison. Resourceful websites out there that will go ahead and tell you exactly or poison. But in today's couple of hints or suggestions on how to make crafting potions and poisons easier and how to make it a little bit more fun, as well as not having to look up everything to try to find what you're doing. Okay, so you have everything unlocked. Everything looks good, right? Congratulations. So we're going to go to the alchemy table. Very simple. So the first thing that we have are our elements, right? But we are 160, and we're always going to either go with Loken Tears or we're going to go with Alkalist or Alkalist or whatever you want to pronounce it, to go ahead and craft poisons. Now, if I'm going to craft poisons, I always want to use this. That's a rule of thumb. Poisons. Potions. Right there. Simple. Okay, so let's get to the potions. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put in the Loken Tears, right? Now, depending on what you're trying to do, whether it be stand potion, magica potion, savagery, or whatever, the first thing I want to do is look at the primary element of what I need. Say, like, go ahead, I need major savagery potions, right? So the first thing I want to go ahead and do is look for anything that says stamina with, like, savagery. So I go down the list, right? And they'll tell me restore health, magicka, stamina, unstoppable. Ravage health, blah, blah, blah. I keep going down, right? Ravage stamina. Okay. So you just kind of keep going down until you find what the elements that you're looking for. So, for example, let's go, I've said I'm going to go stamina. There's a stamina, right? Now, Columbine will go ahead and give me another stamina, right, for the major endurance. But that resource is very, very precious to you. Don't use Columbine unless you have to, right? You don't want to do that. But you can go ahead and get this, and you're going to get the major endurance. Plus, you're going to go ahead, and now you see you get the major brutality buff. Why'd you get the major brutality buff? Well, that's simple. If you take a look, you're going to see another one that says increase weapon power. Come back up to this, and you'll see the same one. So they both have the restore, so it's giving us 2 for 1. That leaves us an open spot, right? Extra duration or another element. So let's say we wanted to add a little bit of health here to it. That should give us that one won't. That'll negate that. Don't do that either. If you see that, that's a time increase. So it takes out the major brutality buff. You see that? Why? Because this one didn't have it, but it also has stamina. So if I take this away, you'll notice 47.6. I add the mountain flower, takes away the major brutality, but instead gives us an increased duration to stamina. Now, if you want the major brutality, you maintain it. You just take it off. Okay, and you could just kind of go down. There you have your major savagery, your major brutality, and your major endurance. Okay? Now, you'll see that it says weapon critical. So that's what we're looking for. So major savagery, weapon criticals is our critical, right? And then brutality is our increased weapon power. And then, of course, restore stamina. Just that simple. Just look at the list. Now, let's say I go ahead and take that. It becomes inert. That becomes a primary. But then the same thing applies where we just have major savagery because we're taking away the stamina. Right? Pretty simple. Pretty simple. All right? That's just the way to do it. So if it's stamina-based, look for any reagent that has stamina. Look for what you're looking for. Okay, go down. We're going to erase all this. Same thing with magicka. Okay, so magicka. The first thing I want to go ahead and do is look for something that says restore magicka, Not Ravage. Ravage is a whole different beast. But now we have Bugless. It says Restore Magicka. Now, once again, I could put Columbine, right? Which gives me the minor intellect, and it gives me all this extra stuff. So I get the major fortitude, I get the major health. Once again, it's precious resource. Don't want to have to use it if I don't have to. But then look, I add the essence of magic. Then obviously, boom, get the minor intellect. Okay, if I add the Lady Smock, I increase the time. So 47, 52. And then, of course, there's some that don't do it. So you can always play with it. Don't be afraid to play, but know what you're looking for. People will just go ahead and systematically just grab every potion or every regent. That becomes very, very wasteful. Very wasteful for regents. It's not worth it, right? Not at all. We could also do a health potion. So that's spell critical. You can kind of go with that too if you were going to make a spell critical. So if we come here, then we gain major savagery in the minor intellect. If we're looking for major sorcery or for spell damage, I'm sorry. So then you always look for another regent that says spell critical. Right here. Major prophecy. So you need 2 of 1 to make the type of potion. You want to look for those 2 elements. You need, if you're looking to make a critical potion to give you a major prophecy, 2 of spell critical. Same thing with weapon damage, so on and so forth. And you can just kind of play with this because sometimes you just don't have those recipes level. But let's talk about poisons for a minute. Skip past that. Now let's get into your poisons. Poisons are great for PvP. They implemented poisons on multi. You can use it for PvE, sure, but for like fractures and things like that. But they don't typically stack. So poisons don't typically get used in PvE content. PvP, it's a whole different beast. PvP, poisons do come in handy depending on your build and your configuration of competitive play. One of the primary examples is one of my favorite poisons. That's the triple drain poison that I use. It's very, very nasty. But if I'm going to use anything with a 3 element, guess what I'm having to use? That rare resource of Columbine. Now I have the Columbine applied. Now I need to go ahead and I need to add a stamina and a magicka because that's already going to give the health. So I'm going to take a look, and we're going to go with the Bugless. Drains health, drains magicka. Now we need that stamina, right? That's something we need. Don't be afraid to make a mistake either. So we have 2 of the drains, but let's say, I throw in the Blessed Thistle. There's the stamina and the magicka, but guess what? I lost the health, right? So I'm going to go ahead down here, and then boom. Now I have all 3 of my drains. I have my health drain, my magicka drain, and my stamina drain. So don't be afraid to kind of play with it. Anything that you're going to use as a primary, you have to keep in focus that that's what it's going to craft, right? So like I said, if I'm going to look for anything that with a triple effect, Columbine is going to be that. Why? Because it has health, magicka, and stamina. But let's say I need something a little bit more complex for PvP. I need, invisibility pot. Right? Something I'm needing here. So first thing I want to go ahead and do is look for, I think it's under invisibility here. See, even I sometimes have invisibility. Okay, that's a mark. Remember, that's a poison. We're going to make a potion. And then boom. Essence of invisibility. I got 2 invisibility, right? But then I can add maybe another element here. So let's say I'm looking. I'm just randomly like, can I add anything to that? Well, all you have to do is just go down. Now you have a Ravage effect. Ravage is sometimes you need Snake Blood if you're going to use. Now look at that. If I add the blue, because it has a triple, it adds the duration. So 3 invis is going to add duration. Take it away, then I can add another effect if I could find something. So now I can get minor uncertainty, reducing all critical ratings by 6 whatever. That's a negative effect. I don't want that. The Ravage, I hate Ravage. But you can just play with it. Like, you could go down and play with your potions. That's why I really like it. Applies hindrance to you. That's a negative. I hate negatives. But anyways, there's invis. So you got your invis down. All right. So same thing. Let's say I'm needing unstoppable. right? I need an immovability. First thing I want to do, find an unstoppable. Come back up. I'm going to find another unstoppable. Right there. Now I become immune to knockbacks and disabling effects. But say if I want to go ahead and add a magicka to that. Restore. Might have to take that off and reapply that. That sometimes happens. So let's say I go ahead and I go back up to the bugless. Nope. Let's try it this way. Okay, there we go. Nope, it gets rid of that. Negates that. But you can play with it. All you need is 2 to make 1. But then I like to play with my potions. Bingo. So now I can get Major Prophecy and Knockback Potion in 1. So now I can get my Immunity Potion, right? And then I also can get my Major Prophecy. Just by simply adding the 3rd element to it. Now, same thing, Major Savagery. And now go here, adds the additional time for the Columbine. And sometimes I just play with it, you know. Like, I don't look it up, but I already know I need two to make one specific type of poison, potion, anything. I need 2 of one element, then I can add an additional time or effect with the 3rd reagent. Just that simple, guys. You don't need to go ahead and look up everything consistently. All you have to do is remember that rule of thumb. Also, keep in mind, another rule of thumb is shrooms are always bad for potions, typically, not always, but really good for poison. So I always tell people mushrooms, poisonous, can be poisonous. Add the poison. So something like that. Nightshade, same thing. You know, so little things like that will go a long way. If it looks like something nasty that's not flowery, it probably can be added in poison. So simple stuff. Really love it. Love how to craft. I don't need to look up all these crazy potion recipes because I already know. Okay, I need a spell critical potion. Okay, I need to look up 2 spell criticals. Now, do I want to add a 3rd effect? And what 3rd effect can I add to that? That becomes the question. Same thing. So always remember, rule of thumb, water potions and solvents, poisons. Okay, and then of course you can play with a ton of different combinations by remembering just that. 2 to make 1, add 3rd element, either time or another effect. Okay, so same thing with fractures and stuff. Like, so if I was going to make a poison, let's say I was going to go poison and I wanted to make another debuff besides a drain, right? So the first thing I want to do is, let's say I want to go vitality. Add 2. Now I have apply the defile poison. Okay, so there's the defile debuff. Right? Now I can add a different effect. So let's say I add the Columbine and now I get a drain health and the defile. Right? I can go down and then I can play with it if I want. But then I can go ahead, add another timer. See? By adding another vitality. So same thing here. Now I can get the fracture with the imp and the defile. So now I can apply the minor fracture for a debuff and the defile, and I didn't even need to look up one recipe. None. Because I knew 2 defiles was going to make, or 2 vitalities was going to make defile. So same thing with, let's take off the beetle scoot and this, and let's go with, let's say, let's keep the imp shrooms here. Okay. And say I want to play, I want to experiment. Okay, increase the cast of your victim's stamina. So there is a specific one. I like the triple better, but you can go specific. I just find the other ones to be a little bit of a waste. Okay, so now we applied the minor maim, right? Because we have the maim on here. 2 maims are going to make 1. Increase the cast of your victim's stamina abilities by 30%. So there's a drain. And then the maim, reducing your victim's damage by 15%. Once again, this comes in handy in PvP. A lot. Then I can add, you know, the defile, and I get the fracture, or this, and then I get a fracture. So now I have a stamina drain, I have a maim, and I have a fracture in my poisons. Just because I kept 2, and I can add another element. Just that simple. So that's concludes today's episode of Easy Tips. Like I said, you know, a lot of people will look up recipes because they're like, what was that recipe? Well, it's just simple. Look out for 2 to make the 1, and then you can add either additional time or elements. So I hope this episode helps. If anybody has questions or comments, post below. If you like the video, hit the subscribe button. I'm Mr. Craven, this CSO Daily. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.